Detective John McClane is now divorced, alcoholic, and jobless after his getting fired for his reckless behavior and bad attitude. He is called back into action, however, when a cryptic terrorist takes New York City hostage in a lethal game of Simon Says and refuses to speak with anyone but McClane. Teaming up with a street-savvy electrician named Zeus, McClane dashes through the city trying to stay one step ahead of the murderous plot. Welcome to another feature presentation of Midnight Double Feature, and on this episode we'll be covering 1995's Die Hard with a Vengeance, directed by John McTiernan.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Midnight Double Feature. Thank you so much for joining us as we cover the 1995 action classic directed by John McTiernan, Die Hard with a Vengeance. I'm back. Oh, I guess the John McClane to my Zeus.
What the fuck? Okay, yeah. I thought you said it the other way around. I was like, what the fuck?
Is Colin. What's happening, Colin?
Hey, what's up, buddy? I'm here. I'm excited to talk about this. Just fresh off of our Fallout bonus episode, which you guys will have to check out on patreon.com/Midnight Double Feature.
That's it,
Become
baby.
a member of the Green Room, $5 a month.
That's it, baby. And follow us on our socials, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We're all out there. But yeah, for sure, definitely patreon.com/Midnight Double Feature. I've been posting, I've been watching all the Bond films and kind of like been going through the Bond franchise, and I've just been posting episodes on there exclusively for members of the Green Room. So my Dr. No episode is out now, so you can check that out. But Die Hard with a Vengeance, man. Holy shit. This is I'm sure long-time listeners of the podcast will be able to guess whose pick this is. This is absolutely my pick, dude. I'm not going to sugarcoat any of this. This is one of my favorite movies of all time. I mentioned on the Die Hard episode that we did quite a while back that Die Hard 1988 is the best movie in the franchise, but Die Hard with a Vengeance is my favorite movie of the franchise.
There you go.
This is an absolute rip-roaring kind of breathless. The pace of this movie is absolutely incredible. You know, in the first 4 minutes, we're introduced to what the threat is. In the first 10 minutes, we've got the threat. We've got John McClane. We've got Zeus. Everything's all set up. And the way this movie moves is just absolute breakneck. I don't think there's that much, there's no moment for sit down, let's go through our emotions, go through our feelings. It's all just let's go. To me, this is the quintessential New York film. This is the first movie that I think about every time I think about New York or New York movies. It's just that traveling through New York where we're going from the bottom of Manhattan to the top. It's so fantastic. You've got the New York attitudes of the bystanders, and also the 90s. This is such a 90s movie. It just feels so deeply rooted in the middle of the 90s. And I guess really quick history. My brother and I had this on VHS. We never bought the VHS. We recorded it. And I remember still to this day where all the ad breaks were, and I'm telling you right now, for the longest time, I thought that this was the first Die Hard movie. I thought that this was Die Hard 1. I didn't know about Nakatomi Plaza, because, again, it all kind of works. If you watch this movie in isolation, and when they're in the van and the FBI is filling McClane in on who Simon Gruber is,
right?
It's the fact that Nakatomi Plaza happened is, you don't need to watch it. You just know that he killed someone's brother, and it's just holy shit, man. It all absolutely works. I do think that for an hour and 45 minutes, this is a perfect movie. An hour and 45 minutes, it is perfect, and then we kind of get onto this sort of tacked on ending in Canada.
Okay, yeah.
And
I'm glad you said it.
We can talk about that. Jonathan Hensleigh has talked about this. So Jonathan Hensleigh was a writer. He's worked on some pretty big movies like Jumanji and Armageddon. He directed that first Punisher film with Thomas Jane.
I love that movie.
Yeah, I know you do. He wrote this. There was an alternate ending, which we'll get to as well. But obviously this is directed by John McTiernan, coming back because he did not direct the second one. But 1995 is also a massive year for Samuel L. Jackson and Bruce Willis, because they'd also be in Pulp Fiction, obviously, and I can't tell you how much I love this movie. This is endlessly rewatchable to me. Let me ask you: is this the first time you've seen this?
Yeah, I didn't see this until about 4 hours ago.
That's absolutely insane. All right, well, tell me, man, what'd you think? Like, was this? This and Bad Boys really informed my love for action movies. And it's just so deeply rooted in like who I am. But anyway, yeah. Tell me what you thought of this movie.
No, yeah, I liked it. It's definitely, I like the first one pretty well, but I think, like you said, I think I prefer this one. I like the kind of like game that gets played. The first one's cool, it's iconic, but this one has that more. Now the first one did good. We have to do that again and add something else to it. And the whole thing of Simon Says and Jeremy Irons is like, who else could you get to follow? Fucking Hans Gruber. It's got to be Jeremy Irons, and he does.
Irons was coming off The Lion King, dude.
Oh hell yeah!
Like he was coming off The Lion King, and they knew, they were like, we need this guy's voice.
Yes,
you don't see him for like a good hour.
Yeah, it's like Ted Levine and Road Joyride, where it's like, yeah, you got to have like an iconic voice behind that phone, and I liked it a lot. I thought it was pretty good. They obviously paint a very detailed picture of McClane's past and kind of what he's been up to now. But I think they do a great job with, not only, it is a little bit weird seeing like explosions in downtown New York, because that doesn't happen anymore. Like people don't really put that in movies.
The comment from the cop who's leading the other cops down into the sort of like the subway, when he's like, "Oh, I'm sure you guys were there for the World Trades."
Yeah.
And it's just like, he's like, what a mess that was. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, brother. Yeah. And it's only 6 years later. It's like, holy fuck. That's crazy to think about. And that was like a little bit jarring. And I feel like you don't see a lot of movies get shot downtown New York like this anymore, where I was like, I'd be like, a lot of this is on location shooting. And they do a great job. Like the city itself is a living, breathing character. And I liked it a lot. I love like Samuel L. Jackson, that he's kind of like the good cop.
Oh, dude, the buddy cop stuff in this movie they have incredible chemistry. Like incredible chemistry.
Yeah, I was surprised by that. And like not only that, but then like tying in stuff of like the school that his nephews go to is the school that has the bomb. And I was like, oh man, that's fucking awesome. Like I liked it a lot. And I feel like there is, like you said, this movie, hour 45, maybe hour 50 is good, and then it's just like, definitely that ending is like, okay man, like come on.
I don't hate it. Like it's just very clearly like you're dealing with an A grade movie here for an hour 45, and then somewhere like at the end is like a C. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's just like, okay, we got to wrap this up.
Absolutely. But I enjoyed it a lot. It's fun. It's not something that I would, own or like watch on repeat. But if somebody was like, which of the diehards would you suggest I start with? I'd be like, I would start with 3. I mean, the first one's definitely great. It's definitely a very good movie. But the third one is I think more of like, it goes outside that realm of like, when people think Die Hard, it's like, no, but it's funnier than that. Like it's an action movie, but it's almost like a road movie where they're just like moving from place to place, and no place is the same. And it's clever, the whole thing of the whole bait and switch with with the bombs and stuff like that. And they think it's not about money, but it 100% is about money. I was like, that's fucking
very
cool.
much like his brother. Like he did the same thing in the first one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which I do have a question of like, Jeremy Irons, what is is that the German Republic Federation? Like what's the army they're doing all of this for?
Something like that. Yeah, something like that. Like I take them to be sort of like freelance, sort of like terrorists. So they're just kind of like for hire. And like I know that they have like their kind of like crew at the end there. But I don't know, man. Like, it's not really important, to be quite honest. Like, I'm just
it's a little important. I'm just kidding. No, but I enjoyed it a lot, though. I thought it was a good movie. I definitely think it's my favorite of the Die Hards, and it looks really, really, really good. I love the way that it's shot.
Like when they're rip roaring through the streets of New York, Like, it's just like, holy shit. Like, you guys are actually
Mhm.
here. Dude, one of my favorite shots is like them ripping through the park in the taxi and like them going over this hill and through this like fucking pile of like dirt. And then the hood's
Yes,
just got all
yes.
this dirt on it, dude. And I'm just like, my dad, like, because I watched this with my dad last night. My dad turns to me. He hasn't seen this in years, and he's like, is that them driving through the fucking park, dude? I'm like, Dad, those are real people in the background. They're driving through a park. Like there was like some studio work, so obviously like the actual blowing up of the subway, like that was in a studio, that was a set. But
Mhm.
it still looks absolutely incredible when that like train car like jackknifes around, and it's like, holy shit, man! Like the
Yeah.
scale of this looks absolutely outstanding.
No, absolutely. I definitely enjoyed this a lot. I'm excited to talk about it.
Definitely. Well, let's get into it. So this might be one of my favorite movie openings ever. In 30 seconds, by the way, you've got this like song, "Hot Town, Summer in the City,"
Mhm.
the Love and
Good song.
Spoonful. Yeah, right. And it's just like, like you think it's just gonna be like this like opening, like, like let's ease into this, let's go gentle. And it's like, no, like boom, like, just this opening credits, like it's like, holy shit. So they blow up this department store, Bonwit Tellers, and then like you get a phone call. It cuts over to the police department, and you've got Inspector Cobb answering the phone from this guy named Simon, right? And he wants McClane to go and do this thing in Harlem. But I love,
Yeah.
like, again, just the way everything's like shot. Like, I love that, like when Cobb's on the phone, like just the camera is like behind him, it's in the back of his head. Like, it's just, I don't know, man. It's just blockbuster filmmaking at its best. And then I will never forget, this was the first time I ever saw John McClane was in the back of this like van and just looking
Uh-huh.
absolutely beat to shit. Like, he's got it. I love that he's got a headache the whole movie. Like it's just such
Uh-huh.
he's just like, he's ruined a fucking perfectly good hangover. And I still just think about this version of McLean every time I think about McLean. Like, I'm just like, he's that guy who's got a hangover and like he just doesn't want to be here today. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but it's so good. We get little clues in the script about like what's to come, right? Like foreshadowing. Like this one police officer who bets his badge number for the lottery, 69.91 every week. Obviously that'll come back later. He's had some issues with Holly, his wife. She's kind of like left him, and he's been suspended. I love his reaction when Cobb tells him that the backup's going to be 10 blocks away. Like,
Uh-huh.
like, can you imagine, dude? Like, you're about to go and do this. I love that they hold what he's about to do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that we don't know what he's
Right.
about to do until he does it. Like, we don't know what he's about to do. And like there's a lot of like setup, like, what's he gonna do? Like, you know what I mean? Like everyone's reactions is like he's about to go do something serious, but the audience doesn't know it. And from that we infer that what he's about to do is something incredibly dangerous. It's pretty fantastic. But then, yeah, sorry, go on.
Oh no, yeah, I was going to say absolutely. I was really I think the fact that the movie starts off, and the movie says a lot of stuff about like racial tensions at the time, and the 90s were definitely like a boiling point with Rodney King and the LA riots and OJ Simpson. Like there was a lot of stuff in the 90s going on, but with racial tension, and I think they do a good job of kind of bringing that up and talking about it a little bit without making it like a huge. The bigger issue is Simon Gruber, like that's the big thing. But they kind of talk about these real life things that are going on as well. I thought that, and to start the movie with like dropping the N bomb, it's like fuck, man,
holy
like,
shit! I'm telling you,
crazy.
when I watched this at like, I think I first saw this at 8 years old. I was that was my introduction to the N word, by the way. In this,
well, I'm glad it's not that and somebody yelling it at you as you walk on the sidewalk.
Dude, totally. We get introduced to Zeus, right? This electrician. He's got these two nephews. One of them is a very young Aldous Hodge. I'm not sure if you remember Aldous Hodge. He was we just saw him in Straight Outta Compton. He played MC Ren Maybe more recently, he was in The Invisible Man as kind of like the cop. The really buff,
cool.
like,
Hell yeah.
fucking, you know,
Liked him a lot.
he's the younger one. But yeah, this is great. You know, like to get respect. One of my favorite all-time deliveries in any movie ever is him looking outside, seeing the sign and what it says, and he's like, "Somebody, dial 911. Tell him someone's about to get killed."
Yeah, that thing has been memed to death, like,
it
really
is
well.
The absolute best line delivery ever. Obviously, these guys, like, he goes over, tells McClane that not all of his dogs are barking, and he's got about 10 seconds before these guys see him. I love that we kind of like pan over Zeus's shoulder, and then it's just like, what the fuck?
Dude, yeah, I love the reveal of the stoop kids, as I'll call it, like the reveal of them out of focus, and then it focuses them over his shoulder.
Right,
it's like, oh god, dude,
it's fantastic. But Zeus saves McClane. I love that there's a little reference, little throwback to the first one. Is the gun taped to McClane's back? Like that was a big moment in the first one. But yeah, Zeus saves McClane. He manages to also cop a switchblade to the fucking, I guess, bicep. In the process, they hijack this taxi. Run all the lights. Just keep driving. McClane calls Zeus, "Hey Zeus,"
which is pretty funny.
And one of the most like fucking funniest exchanges in this movie is, "Don't fuck with me, or I'll shove a lightning bolt up your ass."
Yeah, I love, and he knows his mythology too.
Yeah, he does. But yeah, man. So they go back to Police Plaza, and then we kind of learn a bit more about the explosives. They found one in Chinatown, this briefcase. I love Charlie. Charlie, the bomb disposal sort of expert.
Oh yeah, he's funny.
My god, dude, because he walks in and he is like impressed. He is so excited about this bomb. Like, you know, he's just like, "Oh, look what I found." Like, you know, like this is like top of the line, whatever. The way he like does the demonstration, he's like, you know, like, well, one of the liquids by themselves, like nothing. He batches his shoe in like nothing, and then he like mixes them and blows off the chair.
Yeah, I'm gonna shove that fucking chair up your ass.
Dude, it's so good. By the way, they're obviously, I mean, like that woman's name in this movie is Kowalski. I just love like that. Of course, you know, like if it's a New York fucking city police department, there has to be someone named Kowalski. Like, yeah. But anyway, they receive another call from Simon, and he essentially loops Zeus into the games now, right? Well, you can shove your well-laid plans up your well-laid ass, and you just get the dial. You get the dial tone, dude.
Yeah.
But I love, like, you know, I love everyone taking this incredibly seriously. You know, like Inspector Cobb is just like, look, their lives are at stake. You can't fuck around. You know, like the state. Like, there's something about this that makes it feel incredibly real, yet heightened at the same time. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So Simon eventually calls back, says that there's another bomb, and they have to get to this telephone by X amount. And I love Cobb trying to let Simon know, like, that fucking McClane's not even worth it. Like, he's 2 steps shy of becoming a full-blown alcoholic. I love McClane just being like, one step. McClane is a toilet bug. It's just like, toilet bug?
yeah, trying to play that good cop, bad cop with him, you know?
Right, of course. But McClane does something here which might, you know, it's a little morally grey, but I guess for the greater good, right? He asks Charlie where they found the briefcase. He says Chinatown, and then he goes to find Zeus, and Zeus is like, "Look, man, I'm not fucking, this is a white people shit. Tell me when they cross 128th and then we're good, right?" And McClane says, "You know where they found that? They found that shit in this park near Harlem." And then that gets Zeus in, right? Like this.
Right.
And I love that McClane operates in that space. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's important for me to lie to him in this time. So,
yeah,
to avoid
Yes, and using the information, seeing that he was just talking to two young kids in front of a shop, knows that it's like, well, those kids probably, if they're coming to his shop, they play in these parks nearby. Like, it immediately uses what little he has to his advantage. It's good. It's not great police work, but it's police work.
Absolutely. So they get to this payphone. There's a fucking 300-pound woman on it, right? Dude, Zeus just straight up being like, man, get off the damn phone.
Yeah. It's to me, it's almost like a Chris Tucker, Jackie Chan thing, where it's like Jackie Chan's trying to be like, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, and Chris Tucker's like, man, hurry the fuck up.
Well, this role was initially written, and this will change the flavor of it if it had happened. It was originally written for Lawrence Fishburne, like, you know what I mean, like someone who doesn't have that comedic sort of like, you know, angle to it.
Yeah, I don't know. I love old Larry Fishburne, but I don't know. Sam Jackson, just he's got that like, and with the glasses, and like he's always talking about white people, and white people is like a very like Malcolm X kind of look, like comes out with those black rim glasses.
And he
like,
would have,
he just
like, I know that he was like, it was written for him specifically after he did Boys in the Hood, which is a much more sort of like serious role.
Yeah,
you know, like. I don't think you would have got this kind of chemistry. And like the way that these two are able to sort of like, there's a spark between them. It's actually pretty fantastic. So they answer the phone, and man, like there are like at least 3 or 4 times in this movie when McClane realizes something and the music just like plays up, and it's just like, oh, it's brilliant, because one of them here is like McClane's like they're late to the phone. McClane's like, what the hell did you want me to do? Like, it's public payphone. And Simon says, well, you could have just said that there's a 300-pound fat woman on the phone. Like, it took you a few seconds to push her up. And then, like, he looks up, you know, he's kind of like being a little more alert. He's like, he knows we're being watched. And then we get the St. Ives riddle, right? Like the first of many riddles in this movie. As I was going to St. Ives, I passed a whatever with this many whatever, and it's a trick question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Call me back on 555, and then the answer. They go through it. I love that Zeus is good at this. I love that Zeus is good at this, dude. Like he's like, shut the fuck up, McClane. I'm good at this. He's like adding it up. My favorite moment in this situation is Zeus being like, 2401. That's what you got, right? McClane's like, yeah, that's what I got.
yeah, that's what I got. No, yeah, I dig that, because it's like you've got the brains of Zeus, which McClane has brains, but it's more like a brawny kind of brain.
It's straight smarts,
you know. Yeah, and we know he's good at stealth. He can kind of sneak around and take people out like all Splinter Cell like, but it's having Zeus there to be like, yeah, I'm an electrician, I can hotwire cars, like I can blah blah blah. Like, I like the fact that it's like but he's not like disarming bombs and stuff, you know. It's just, he's a fucking wicked smart dude.
Wicked smart. Yeah, for sure, dude. Like, by the way, I put on this movie and I was just like, man, like, it's fucking sad that, you know, Bruce Willis can't act anymore. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a fucking bummer, because he's so good.
I think he's one of the only actors that got their Razzie rescinded.
Oh,
like he did a movie and then it came out like 6 months later that he was having issues with Alzheimer's, and the Razzies were like, no, we're not doing that. And they rescinded it, and they're like, that's fucked up. We didn't know that. And like, I think they did that once for him, and then like maybe a child actor or like a younger actor. I can't remember, but it's one of the only 2 times they've ever done that. And I was like, good on you, man. You know, at least you're poking fun at people, but you know, when it's like, no, that's not cool. You know, it'd be like fucking making fun of Michael J. Fox or something. Like, you asshole.
Yeah, I saw Matt Rife made a joke about I love Matt Rife, by the way. He's fucking hilarious. But like, he made a Michael J. Fox joke. I can't remember what the context was, but I'm not going to go through it. It was fucking great. But anyway, so but then it's a trick question, right? Like, as they go to dial in the wrong number, Zeus stops him and he says, no, it's a trick question. There was no one going to St. Ives. Only the man was going to St. Ives. And on the way, he met these people. Like, these people, McClane goes, okay, where were these guys going? He's like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah, what does that have to do with it?
So they call back. And again, like, I just like just little things in the script, or might be improvised. How do you dial 1? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it doesn't have to be in there, but I fully appreciate it that it's in there. You know what I mean? So they dial back, they get the right answer, and Simon's like, "Oh, but you're 10 seconds too late." And it's just like, I just love the way this escalates. No, 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 and then like immediately like fucking hang up. There's a bomb in the fucking like, dude. Zeus just straight up dives. Zeus just dives. Obviously, nothing happens, but like, I love him kind of like getting up. Everyone's like, "Welcome to New York." One guy hands him a fucking tenner.
Well, I love that, and I love the it's the same thing that kind of like Gene Wilder said about Willy Wonka when Willy Wonka comes out and he's got that limp, and then he does like the forward roll and stands up, and Gene Wilder was like, because from then on out you won't know if he's telling the truth or if he's full of shit, and it's the fact that he's done it once, you know he'll do it, but now you don't really know if it's a loaded gun or if it's a dud.
Right.
I love that about Simon, where it's like, well, we don't know.
Exactly.
This guy's got all types of like curves.
It's absolutely brilliant. Simon's having a good laugh, and then he gives them the real one, right? Like, it's 9:50 right now. The number three train is arriving now. I left something very provocative on the train. I want you to get to the newest kiosk in the Wall Street station by 10:20. So you've got 30 minutes to get from one side of Manhattan to the other. Go, right? And this kicks off probably my favorite stretch in this entire film. It's from right here to the moment the subway blows up. This whole stretch of action is stunning. Like, it's just so well done, incredibly well paced. Like, the sense of urgency is just immaculate. It starts at the 27:20 mark and goes all the way to the 40th minute. So you got this 13-minute stretch of just pure action of these guys trying to get to wherever they're going to disarm this train, to answer the phone call. You know, they have to go through the park to get there. They have to call in an ambulance, shots fired, like call to like use it as a blocker to get through traffic. Like, it's just like Jonathan Hensley's like foresight to use New York traffic as a
right,
you know, as an antagonist in this movie is just brilliant.
No, I love, like you said, them hitting that mound of dirt, and you're like, oh, they're stuck, and then it's like,
it fucking
and they
comes
blow through
out.
it. You're like, whoa! But the shot of them going past the bus, and we're like we're looking out the front of the window, and then we like kind of like if we were in the car passing it, it's the way our head would turn,
Right.
and as it turns, it cuts to Samuel L. Jackson looking directly into the camera. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, I love the way a lot of that shot. Like, there's a great shot of as they're going through the park, it like super zooms in and gets like weirdly like janky and cuts to that cop on the road, and I was like, that's cool. I liked that a lot. That was a very like art. I did not expect that. It was a very cool, sets the kind of frenetic energy that's about to come, and it is coming.
It's fantastic, man. Like, the way they blow through those like between those two trucks in that intersection. I didn't say take Park Avenue. I said take the park through the park.
Mm-hmm.
It's clever, man. Like, you know, I don't know, like, and that yellow cab blasting through Central Park, that visual is just so striking to me, you know. Just the way they're arguing, and Zeus is just like panicking, but like this entire sequence is just absolutely stunning. Them going over the railing, McClane.
Yeah, that's great. It's like that little natural ramp.
And I love how pleased McClane is with himself. 72nd and Broadway to Central Park South in 3 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, and the ambulance escort is genius.
Dude.
It's a really good idea. It's like getting a police escort, but not. I like that.
I'm telling you, I think about doing this all the time. You know?
Act like you're just following. Like, that's my mom in there. Like,
but you know what? It's so cool because when this happened last night and we're watching it, Dad's like, the ambulance wouldn't respond that quickly, and I was like, you're right, they won't. But what's genius about this is that McClane calls in a shots fired and a police officer is down. And I feel like that's the difference, right? Like them responding to shots fired and a police officer being injured is so different than a civilian.
Absolutely. No, yeah. Hearing a cop is down is like, okay, well, in a cynical way, it's like, hey, we need that guy back on the floor, like being a cop. Like, we got to save this dude.
Right. And it's absolutely genius. I love the way McTiernan shoots this. The ambulance just like scrambling to get there, and then like in the background you've got the taxi just like whipping around that corner, around that intersection, dude. Oh, it's so they don't make them like this anymore, dude. Honestly, they just straight up don't make them like this anymore. Kind of like football is, isn't it?
Well, and I love, like, there's parts when he breaks into that train coming up here, not to like jump us too far ahead, but when he kicks the window, and I was like, man, this feels like Speed all of a sudden now. Like, I love like when you see his legs kicking in that window, and I was like, man, that just looks so good. Right. I mean Bruce Willis's cock. No, I just him kicking in the window. I was like, I love the way that looks, and it's so like kind of like detail. It's grainy and kind of gritty looking.
Oh yeah,
and I'm saying I feel like a lot of movies today they're so clean and like sterile, and I'm like, I don't know, it doesn't look very dirty to me.
I love the dirt and grit of this movie, dude. Like, I love watching how absolutely beat to shit McClane gets. Like, you know, the fact that he's like, I know that this is a reference to the first one, but how white his vest is at the beginning of this movie versus like the finale when it's just soaked and caked in red. And he just looks like a homeless person, like to the point where he walks into the Federal Reserve and one of the German guys is just like, he looks him up and down and he's like, yeah, laundry day. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he just looks so beat to shit. And anyway, so yeah, we're on the subway. Again, the urgency. Dude, I had my Apple Watch on last night as I'm watching this. I got a fucking heart rate warning. It said your heart rate has been higher for the last X minutes. And it was just like, damn, like, you know, I never get tired of seeing this stretch of film. But yeah, like he leaves Zeus in the taxi. He says, like, go meet me at Wall Street Station at 10:20. I'm going to go and cut it off just so I can jump in the train earlier. I love that he misses the train and he has to get back up to the surface and go to the next station to like, not the next station. He opens the grates and goes through the grates. It's fantastic. He manages to get in. Dude, there's one old lady who absolutely freaks the fuck out at John. Like, watch it again, dude. She's like,
oh, wait, what? During what part?
So when he's like searching the train, right, and he's kind of like walking through the carriages.
Oh, she's got glasses on. Yeah.
Dude, I'm like, that extra needed to be wrangled in because even John was just like, sorry, lady, like, you know, like just. But anyway, Zeus gets to the station. He hops the turnstile, and can we talk about this cop who draws down on him for fare evasion?
Dude, and I think again, that's one of the things that like they kind of put it it's subtle but not subtle, where it's like, right, yeah, we've got a white, like, young rookie cop who, so a guy jumped over the fare and you pull a gun on him because he's getting loud. Yeah. The guy in the suit's like, shoot him, shoot his black ass, kill him. Like, he's like fucking free. He's like foaming at the mouth. No, but I think they do a great job of kind of like, yeah, look how fast this guy pulled a gun on him. Like, that isn't that fucked up, you know? And I think they're kind of subtly hinting at some of the other stuff that's going on in the world at this time as well. And the whole thing of him just being like, you know what, you might have to shoot me, but that's just the fucking risk I've got to take. You know, fuck it, man.
If you have to shoot me, then shoot me.
Yeah.
But I have to answer this phone. It's like Deep Blue Sea. Like, whenever Samuel Jackson shouts.
Oh, dude, his eyes are... He looks like a bug. You know, he gets this real big-eyed, like, kind of look.
There's again, man, like, even just before he gets on the phone and before the cops arrive, he's got that, like, he's trying to be really calm to that guy who's on the phone. He's like, sir, please. I need to use the phone.
It's
like, well, come on, man. Like just the New York attitudes, like, coming through, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, the guy's like,
He's
come
use
on,
that
bro.
phone.
And it's like, dude, you
Yeah.
don't use bro. Like,
Bro.
yeah, that's not a part of your normal vernacular. And no, I absolutely loved this. And them hiding the bomb in that thing to make it look, because they don't want it to be found. It's not left out in a very obvious place.
This is the one that needs to blow up,
right,
for the plan to work.
Right. I love that. And I love the fact that, like, you know it's going to go off, but at least it doesn't kill anybody, which is crazy, but that's kind of like, and the practical shot of that train sliding, that kind of Dark Knight feeling at the, at the end of
jackknifing.
Or no, at the Batman Begins. Seeing that train come sliding out, and fucking Zeus is the one grabbing the cop to fucking pull him away. I was like, dude, that is hilarious.
He tells, like, he grabs a cop, and then he tells the guy who was on the phone before, he's like, get down, motherfucker. Yeah,
he's like, well, you might want to get down. And he just lays on the ground.
There is so this moment was referenced in The Incredibles, the Pixar movie, because Samuel L. Jackson plays Frozone in that, and like he's kind of like, so the cops are like holding him at gunpoint, and he's just like, I need to drink this cup of water. like it's so perfectly well done. But anyway, so one of my favorite moments in this is just, again, the escalation that McTiernan's able to do here. Like, you look at the train coming in, you hear it, and then like the camera whips down to the what is it? It's like the trigger on the rail, like, because like it has to cross that point. The camera whips down to it, and then like, McClane smashes through the back door, throws the thing out, and I love that all of the sound goes down. All you hear is like boom, and it's just like it's brilliant, stunning. So I love that you see it from topside as well, from the surface, like just all this dust and smoke coming out from the train station, and man. But yeah, McClane's alive, and it's all good. Someone's pacemaker stopped, a woman's water broke, a couple of injuries, but nothing major. By the way, that guy Lambert, that cop Lambert, he's played by Graham Greene. He's in a shitload of movies. He was in Wind River. He played one of the
cop that evacuates the school and stuff. Cool.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, and then we kind of like get this sort of like, it acts as an exposition scene, but it's so well disguised. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so McClane gets like brought into this van with these two FBI guys. One looks like fucking God damn it, what's his name? What's the black fucking astrophysicist name
Neil
again?
deGrasse Tyson. It kind of does,
right? Doesn't he?
You can say that. I can't. No, no. It's the mustache, and that mustache is tiny for his lip. Where I'm just like, dude, look at that thing. Like, you shave a half inch on each side, and you're Black Hitler. Like, like if you shave just a little bit, I think it's such a small mustache.
I love that, like, the other one shakes his hand and is like, I'm with another agency.
Yeah, we're with Sector 7G.
Right. Sector 7G. And then the guy that they don't introduce at all behind them, which
looks like a bodyguard,
is terrifying. Yeah. Right. Yeah. By the way, that guy has like an awesome like what I imagine like a 90s like movie trailer voice sounds like. Like when you hear him, his name is Simon Peter Gruber. And I'm like,
Simon Peter Gruber. He's got a great voice.
Yeah. But yeah, this is where we find out about who Simon is, right? And what a moment. Like, what a moment from Willis. Like, what a moment from Michael Kamen, who did the score in this movie. Is like, and it's just like they push in on his face, and it's just like, oh, now it's real, now it's personal. You know what I mean?
Because the second Die Hard, nothing to do with the Grubers. It's like a totally different. It's like got William Sadler as like a colonel or something. I can't remember. Yeah. So briefly, the second one is completely remote. There's a couple of characters from the first one in it, like Al Powell is in the second one. Obviously the journalist as well, but like
The second one just takes place at Dulles Airport, and it's basically sort of like a hostage situation because William Sadler wants to organize the release of like a political prisoner who's being transported and
Oh, so
landing
it's Air
there.
Force One.
Um,
Okay.
essentially, yeah, I get those mixed up quite a bit, but yeah, that's essentially it. Yeah, for sure. Um, but anyway, yeah, Simon Peter Gruber, like he's kind of like dressed up in fucking Nazi regalia, but like I love that they receive a call right here and
Yeah.
right now, right? Like they get a call here, and I love that Simon knows exactly who's in the car. Like you know what I mean? Like how disappointed like the FBI guys are. So like, damn it. But he never manages to pin the last guy, the guy behind them. Like he never manages to bring that guy up, which again fucking terrifies you even
Uh-huh.
more. But he says that there's 20,000 pounds of explosives in a school. How many schools does he say in Greater New York area? 1,400, something
Yeah.
like that,
It's
which
like
is insane.
almost 1,500.
Yeah. And it's gonna go off at 3 o'clock. One of the schools is gonna be let out permanently. Just just the delivery of Irons' voice is awesome. I love just like everyone just like pausing after he says that like one of them's in a school, and he's just like, "I'll take it by your silence that everything's that I'm understood."
Uh-huh. I love it. Like that
Simon,
he knows that they're going to play ball. Like that's what I like. I love in a lot of
right,
this is that it's. I know you're going to do it because Simon says. It's like, oh, that's
right.
great.
Speaking of which, by the way, this is the so this script was not written in like to be a Die Hard movie. Neither was the second one. Neither was the first one. Neither was the fourth one. The only movie in the franchise that was written originally as a Die Hard script is the worst one. A Good Day to Die
Really?
Hard. Yeah. So the first one not written to be a Die Hard movie. Second one, not intended to be a Die Hard movie. This movie, written by Jonathan Hensleigh, was originally called Simon Says.
Hmm. I dig
Yeah,
that
it was
though
kind of like
because you kind of
refashioned.
don't have the weight of an entire franchise to live up to. You're just
Right.
writing something that's you know what it is before it's a Die Hard movie. It's just a good movie. I love that. I love that
Right.
a lot.
Exactly. But yeah, I love that. Like, I love that Cobb kind of like gets going here. Is like, you know, like he says he did not say we cannot search,
Mhm.
right? He organizes like essentially organizes this whole force. I love how many extras are in any given moment here. Like it just feels so big. You know, it just feels like a city is like being held hostage by this guy, and it never feels fake to me. Like you know what I mean? This never feels like this is a movie. This feels like a real life situation.
Oh, dude,
Like, you know what I mean?
the was it Bill or I can't remember the Neil deGrasse Tyson when he's like, you
Yeah.
know, what you kidding me? I have two kids in a school, you know, a mile from here or something. I'm just like,
Right. What can I
yes,
offer you?
I love that, and I love them watching them from the rooftop, which is great. The fact that they're like constantly right under their nose and that they're always being watched, like I dig that a lot.
It's brilliant. So Gruber here lays down a couple terms, right? He says we cannot evacuate. He says if you try and evacuate, the school goes up. We also got something of a bargain on police radios, so do not use your police radios, which I guess makes things a lot harder because also cell phones were not.
Yeah.
It's 1995. So, I mean, you do see a few cell phones in this movie. McClane makes a few references to hating cell phones, which is a reference to him just hating technology in general. Like that's just
on
him.
top of references, the thing I cannot go without mentioning is when he's walking around with Zeus and he's like, man, I wasn't even supposed to be in this shit today. And he's like, man, you're telling me I was having a happy suspension, you know, smoking cigarettes and watching Captain Kangaroo. And that's in Pulp Fiction when he runs over Ving Rhames. He's sitting in the car listening to that. I can't remember the band, but it's like smoking cigarettes and watching Captain Kangaroo. And I at first I thought this one came out in '88, so I was like, oh, Pulp Fiction was referencing Die Hard 2, and I was like, no, Die Hard 2 was referencing a movie made the year before. I was like, oh, okay,
Die Hard 3, yeah,
or Die Hard 3. Yeah, thank you.
So this is the stretch of movie that introduces us to Simon Gruber,
love this.
his crew,
I love
and
this shift.
what his plan is.
One of my favorite parts of the movie is the fact that we're like, all right, we've held him in the shadows long enough. Let's dip our toe into Lake Simon.
So good. So good, dude. Like, this goes from 47 minutes to, I think, 58. So it's just over 11 minutes long. And it's just entirely dedicated to Simon and his crew and what his plan is, right? Like, I mean, like, this is, like, here come the dump trucks that were referenced earlier on. You know what I mean? Like, it's just such a incredible, like, the script is so well done. I'm going to get to one moment a bit later that was sort of seeded on, and I'll talk about it. But, like, everything is kind of like in there, like, you know what I mean? Like, all of this, like the 14 dump trucks were talked about earlier. You know, like, I love, like, you know, like, all of this stretches credibility a bit, but, like, you can kind of get away with it because it's a fucking action movie, you know? Like,
and you got to remember, this is pre 9/11, so like nobody is ready for something of this like magnitude to happen. Like, even though the original World Trade Center attack was, I think, like 93, like, yeah, there probably was increased police presence and stuff, but I don't think anybody, imagine what you could have gotten away with on 9/11 if you were these guys, you know? And I get it. What happens is not the scale of 9/11, but at the same time, the fact that he just has the city totally hostage, that he's made 2 bombings now and he will do it again, and he's got some of the best cops just running around. Nobody can get there in the time that he's demanding of them. That's what I think kind of increases the credibility of what's going on.
Absolutely. This has to be a reference to the first one, is like when Gruber goes down to this cop and he's like, Detective Bob Thompson, and he's like got the American accent, obviously, like a reference to his brother. Sure. I love it. He pretends he's from the city engineer's office. Holy Toledo. Somebody had fun. He's just so, it looks like he's having a blast in this movie, dude. I love when, like, you get these like prestigious actors who just like, it's like, I'm not gonna say slum it in like action movies or like franchise films and stuff like that, but they just end up having a great time, and you can tell that they're doing it. Like, people who remind me of this is like Cate Blanchett in Thor Ragnarok, right? Like people who have Oscars, who are just like, yeah, like, I mean, you know, I'm in this like third entry in this franchise as a villain, and I'm just gonna have a fucking good time, you know. But yeah, like this 11-minute stretch, they go down to the Federal Reserve, like all these trucks, and then you got Bob Thompson like walking into, he's playing this guy Mr. Vanderflug now in this lobby. They set off the seismic alarms, and we get this like, what's this song that plays in the background? Yeah,
I can't think of the name of it.
Yeah. But it's just incredibly memorable. And then like my favorite moment in this entire sequence is right at the end when they're getting into the lift, like and that you get that massive zoom in to the shoulder patch of that guy's like, I think it's like Federal Reserve, and I'm like, yes, come on, dude, let's do this. And we meet McClane and Zeus at the park, right? This is where we get my personal favorite riddle in this movie is the 5-gallon jug and the 3-gallon jug.
Oh, yeah.
Riddle. Did you solve this?
No, I did not, because it started going so fast that I was like, okay, I was just like, all right, they got to figure it out. Cool.
So yeah, I'm watching this with my parents last night. And before they solve it, I paused it and I'm like, all right, let's see if you guys can do this.
Yeah, it's fun.
and my mom did it, and my dad just couldn't get it. But yeah, essentially, like, I love the way it works because you're not thinking about the empty space, right? Like, naturally you think about the space that you fill up. You're not automatically thinking about the empty space to solve this thing. But yeah, essentially you fill up the 5. Yeah, you fill up the 5, pour it into the 3. You've got 2 liters left, 2 gallons left. Pour out the 3, right? So now it's empty. Pour the 2 liters that is in the 5-gallon jug into the 3. Then you fill up the 5. then you hold on.
Fucking hell, man. Yeah, you've lost me.
You know what? This is what's great about this riddle, because every time I do it, I forget. But yeah, you fill up the 5, and then you pour the 5 into the 3, leaving 4 liters, because there's only 3 liters left. There's only 1 liter left of empty space in the.
Oh, so what's left over has to
that?
be the 1. Okay.
Has to be 4
Gotcha.
liters. Yeah. And it's great. It's a great riddle. I quite enjoy it. But yeah, I love like Zeus just being like, "Hey man, some kid's gonna find that."
Uh-huh.
You know, some kids.
And that coming back later too is great.
Can we talk about this kid who should have probably been in The Sopranos?
Oh, the bike,
Like,
the Butterfingers thief.
Look around! It's Christmas. You can steal City Hall.
Yeah,
Holy
I love. He's like, do you know who my father was? My father was Jackie Aprile.
Right, exactly. I love them stealing the bike. Them stealing their bicycles, dude.
And them riding off, and Sam Jackson going, "Merry Christmas," and fucking riding away. It's so good.
But yeah, they go back to Wall Street. Sam Jackson, Zeus gives the briefcase to these cops, dude. Again, just another little thing. Like this one henchman who's dressed as a police officer. He's on the phone to Simon, and he's obviously speaking with this heavy German accent.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like he just shifts.
Hi, could you give me a
American
second, please?
accent.
It was like,
right.
Whew. I almost thought it was David Harbour for like 2 seconds. I was like, is that a young David Harbour? And I was like, no, there's no way. That guy's way too small a frame. But if you look at that cop in the face, like that looks a shitload like a young David Harbour in the eyes.
I see it. Oh, by the way, we went over my favorite John McClane realizes something moment is look around, you could still City Hall. The way that camera pans around McClane's face, and it's just like like, oh.
Well,
so
and the fact
dude.
that it's like it's a criminal that opens up his eyes to the most obvious thing is fantastic.
Right. Can we talk about this elevator sequence? Holy shit, dude. Like, this is like Captain America being led by the Hydra forces.
I knew something was going to happen when he picked up that dead cop's badge. And I was like, no, you're fucking up. You're the only guy up here who's like, it'd be like, you're taking something from one of the cops. It's like evidentiary that cop is dead now.
Otto.
Yeah. And I was like, you're going to fuck something up here.
Well, I love, we don't spend a lot of time with, Gruber's sort of, gang or anything, but I love that there's, little beefs between, the gang. Like, that guy's Otto. That's one of, what's his name? What's the big guy's name again?
Oh,
whatever.
yeah.
That's his guy. You know what I mean? So he's a little unhinged. So but in the elevator, McClane spots his friend's badge, right? 6991. And he's like, hey, does anyone play lottery here? Oh man, what were the lottery numbers last night? And McClane just starts blasting through his shirt, dude. Like he doesn't fuck around. And I love this wide shot of them just kind of in this position. Otto's kind of got his gun behind him like that, and McClane's got it to his face. And I just love that there's moments of shouting. It feels so raw. It's like, put it down. I'm gonna blow his face. I'll put it down. Oh. And then McClane manages to get his hand away, and dude, the shot of McClane just blowing that dude's face up. And all the blood it's just human bean juice.
Yeah.
Right?
To
reference Watchmen.
Yeah, it's Fallout and Vats when you blow their head off with a shotgun. You're like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Exactly. So McClane realizes exactly what's going on here, right? There's this robbery. There's this robbery of the Federal Reserve. I love Zeus finding the gold bar, wanting to keep it.
Dude, yeah. I love. He's like, whoever. Yeah, he's gonna. Don't worry, he'll cheer up when he sees that gold bar in his back. He's motherfucker. Like,
that's my gold bar. But yeah, McClane calls Cobb to try to tell him about the robbery. He manages to get most of the message away, but they enter a tunnel, and he's not able to tell him about the 21st president, right? What's 21 out of 42?
I like that riddle. I think the best because it's slight math, but then history as well.
Yeah. Yep. Um, and then we kind of like get to like we're kind of like following these dump trucks for a little bit, and then we kind of get to the aqueduct, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, we're at the aqueduct. Like, there's other things happening in between this, right? Like, because um, Simon finds out about like the elevator crew who got executed. Um, and Targo is the big guy's name. So Targo is like, Simon, you should have killed him. Stop fucking around. Simon calls into the radio station, causes mass panic, mass hysteria. Dogs and cats living together, mass
Uh-huh.
hysteria. Um, and I love like just these random shots of like just people listening in, right? Like, Jane, call the wife.
Yeah, and
Like,
it's all
like
people we've seen through the movie, like that woman be like, "And I'm gonna marry
right,
Donald Trump," and I
right.
loved the white collar people who were sitting there eating popcorn, watching the destruction,
Yes.
and then it's them who have to worry now. It's like not so funny, is it? Not so fun to watch. It's like, I love that.
Absolutely. McClane stops this one truck, right? I Can we talk about this guy's a real MVP of this movie. This truck
Oh,
driver
Jerry.
that McClane he's so good. Because when we get into the aqueduct, he's doing his like kind of like tour guide bullshit. And again, Hensley is so good with this script because if there's a little more of Jerry like spouting off facts, he would get annoying. But if there's any less of it, then it becomes unbelievable that he doesn't know,
Right.
that he knows that Chester A. Arthur is the 21st
Exactly.
president.
I love it.
You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
it's not unbelievable that he knows this.
Exactly. It's really well seated. But yeah, this viaduct they go through, and McClane finds the stopped dump truck. Hey, did a big old fucking jolly old fat person tear through here? Yeah, about 8 reindeer.
I'd love he opened up the cab and it's like
away.
just two like 18-year-olds on the lunch break. He's like, oh fuck, oh man, the Germans got these kids down here. Jerry's like, no, they didn't.
Oh.
Just blast Jerry away.
It's so funny because Bruce Willis is born in Germany.
Oh, really? Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I think he was kind of like an army brat. He was born in like a German military base.
Oh, dude,
a lot.
You wouldn't be surprised how I think my dad was born in Arkansas but lived in France and Scotland as a kid. So like the stepdad was a military guy. So yeah, it's not that uncommon.
So Zeus goes to Yankee Stadium, and I think this is where Simon intended to kill Zeus and John, right? Like this was the end of the line for them originally. But that doesn't go to plan because Zeus is here alone, right? Like I love like that sniper kind of like off in the distance, and he's just like yes or no.
I love Simon just being like, no, just don't, because the cop calls and says to kill him, and then he's like, no, don't worry about it, just let him go. And it's like, I like that, the fact that he says, hey, listen, I might work for monsters, but that doesn't make me one. Like, okay, yeah, that's believable. You didn't kill a guy who had nothing to do with it,
Right. One of my favorite moments is Kowalski going to Inspector Cobb and just being like, hey, someone wants to talk to you, and it's fucking Jerry, dude. Like Jerry's here to deliver the message that is Chester A. Arthur. Like I'm just like, God damn, dude, you're the best. You are the best. You are the NPC that could,
Yeah, it's like a snowball. We're just picking up civilians that help us.
So the police arrive outside Chester A. Arthur Elementary School. They go and like do some. They scout it out, and turns out one of the fridges was delivered at 10:30 this morning. Right, the refrigerators was delivered at 10:30 this morning. Okay, so what's weird about that? Okay, well, it's not hooked up, but look at the front, and it's it's giving off a reading. And I just love like tell all the students to gather in the assembly room. Right, let's go. I love. Let's like we kind of like filter back and forth between McClane and the school here. So let's talk about the aqueduct first. So McClane. Attention! Nils is dead, dickhead. Nils is dead, fuckhead. And he's like, yeah, the other guys are gonna be a bit late too. Like he does his like McClane shit, like pretty much annoying the villain. Like that's kind of like his trademark. And then they blow the dam, which is, again, fucking awesome. Like, you know, it doesn't look realistic, but like the tension that it creates and the danger, it's like, yeah, that's perfect. And by the way, you know what? I love that he had a fucking briefcase ready to go. Just in his car. Like he's just like Simon's just riding around with briefcases full of like explosives.
It's so meticulously planned, you know?
So he blows the dam. McClane manages to escape, but barely. He rides up the fucking tube, right, the funnel, and he comes out. This is kind of like what you were talking about in like the Fallout episode, is like the world is so small because as soon as McClane goes flying out that tube, Samuel L. Jackson is driving past. He's looking up the windshield. He's like, "Was that fucking McClane?"
That I did laugh that he was just happened to be there at the same time. And I'll be honest, I thought Targo, the kind of second in command, that guy, I thought he was the big German dude from Beer Fest. Have you ever seen, or the big guy from Gladiator?
No.
The big dude in Gladiator, the big white guy. You ever seen Gladiator?
Yeah, a while ago though.
He's one of the combatants, the really, really big, tall white guy with brown hair. I thought for sure that was him, but it's not. And I was like, oh man, I love that guy in Beer Fest. It's like, wait, no, that's not him.
So Zeus picks up McClane. I love, like, you know, just again more banter back and forth. Were you followed? No, I wasn't followed. And then he starts getting shot, and it's like, oh, you weren't followed. He fucking has to dive. He has to dive through the window. I really dig this car chase because it just feels so dynamic, like with the rain and everything. Everything looks so legit.
Right. I don't know why, but I like the fact that it's a truck. The fact that it's not just like a sedan or something, like because it serves the plot as well when they need that winch later on.
Yes, definitely. Like ripping out the anti-lock brake system, so he has to do that. Like just cool stunt work, you know, just shit we don't do anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I say this like, you know, we're like 3 weeks out from Furiosa coming out, so I'm sure George Miller's about to, like, you know, prove me wrong, but you know, that is what it is. One of my favorite moments in this entire movie is the children in the assembly room, and the principal goes up to the teacher and whispers in the teacher's ear, and the teacher's just like, fuck, like, you know, like there's that disappointment of like, oh shit, it's our school, it's this school. And again, like Zeus's nephews catch on to the fact that Lambert is a police officer and not a member of the fire department, and I think that he's here for them for stealing the radio. Like, just good stuff, dude.
Yeah, I love that. Fuck, he's not a fireman.
Right.
Fuck that.
So I love like them kind of like gathering in that hallway, like Lambert's in the middle, like getting ready for this evacuation. Again, it just all feels so legit, like how something like this would go down. They got the janitor like doing final checks. He opens his classroom and, you know, he gives it the all clear, but I just love like the kids peeking out from behind the desk. They pull out their playing cards and start playing cards, dude. Anyway, so McClane and Zeus end up spotting the dump trucks. They're by the port. I mean, like, there's some stuff that you kind of like need to let go, like, you know, like logistically, like how did they manage to offload the gold bars onto the boat so quickly?
Yeah.
And even if there was a switcheroo, like how did fucking Simon manage to switch out the gold so quickly? Like, you know,
yeah,
it's just a bit like, all right, movie.
Well, that it's like, God, how heavy that. I know they're on like a cargo ship, but still, it's like, you know how fucking heavy that would be.
$160 billion worth of gold, dude.
Yeah.
I love this when they're on the bridge. Zeus is like, I can make it. I can fucking do it, dude. Like, I can jump from the bridge to the crane. And McClane's like, fuck that, you're not doing it. He goes and grabs the winch, right? Like, manages to snag the winch, and they start climbing over. There's this one guy, like, right beneath them, like, having a cigarette. And then McClane realizes that, oh shit, the winch is not long enough. It's starting to drag the ute. And the ute goes flying off the bridge. And this guy gets fucked up, dude.
Yeah. This guy, it's fucking, yeah. Well, the fact that he even says something about like, oh man, something would cut you in half, and then it cuts the dude in half.
I love when they land and Zeus is like, oh man, am I glad you talked me out of jumping. Just a little moment here is like McClane being like, yeah, you grab his legs. And the way they grab it is like, yeah, he's been cut in half because they're both dragging him off. Yeah.
Unless they're carrying him as a U.
Right. He's a worm, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, at this point in the movie, I'm still loving it. We're at the hour and 38 mark, right? I still think that this movie is an absolute A+. And I'm having a great time. I'm fully dialed in. You know, McClane's like engaging in fisticuffs with Targo. Targo's completely winning because he's a fucking giant. He's a fucking man. He's a man meat, right? You know. Meanwhile, Zeus goes up to the deck, right, to the bridge with his MP5. Zeus doesn't know how to fire an MP5, right? And he's like pointing it at fucking at Gruber, who's about to eat a boiled egg, right?
Yeah.
And Zeus, good for him, pulls the trigger, right? Not knowing that the safety catch is on. This is one of my favorite moments in the entire movie from Gruber, is just how casually he grabs the MP5. And he's like, oh, he eats the boiled egg. And he's like, yeah, see, you got to take the safety catch off. And fucking shoots him in the leg, dude.
Yeah, because he just gives him the gun because he's like, oh yeah, it's not working. And then when he fucking takes it, immediately shoots him.
It's so good. But then this is one of my I keep saying this is one of my favorite movies. This is one of my favorite moments in this movie. But like, I mean, you got to realize this is like a top 20 movie for me. I love this movie so much. This moment here from Inspector Cobb, when he's kind of like listening into the earpiece, and the way he's got the earpiece like that, like sort of turned around. He looks at each side. He looks over his shoulder. He's like, we're going to go. And like everyone's lined up. There's this like big, like a big activity, big operation. Everyone's like, you know, like, I love Lambert taking a second. He does the sign of the cross and he's like, all right, let's go. And it's like, kids, we're going to go. Let's go. And it's just, it's pure 90s action filmmaking at its finest. You know, like just how we're able to capture all this chaos. It feels so dynamic because you have all of these colors, you have all these kids like streaming out of this school. It's so exciting. It's so well executed. You've got Charlie here working away trying to defuse this bomb. I love like Cobb just straight up being like, Charlie, last I looked, you went light on your feet, dude. Let's go. Yeah. And Charlie's a motherfucking hero, dude, because he decides to stay when he finds out that the kids are going, like, there's still kids in the building, right? Which, by the way, is a fantastic reveal. Like, Kowalski looks up at the fucking office, looks up the building, and she's like, oh my God, there's still children there. And I love Lambert I love the janitor, like, tossing Lambert the keys, like, anyone marked 4. Like, just little shit like that. Like, you don't need it, but it's there, and it's fantastic, and it adds so much it adds like adhesive, you know, like there's stuff there that feels tactile. It feels real, you know.
And it ramps everything up. It definitely adds that level of like, it's like feels like everybody lateraling the ball back to the next person, right, you know, and keeping the ball up. I love that.
Absolutely. McClane makes his way to the bridge after defeating Targo. By the way, McClane at this point is absolutely fucked up. Like he's like, we later find out that he's got a splinter in his shoulder. It's causing all this blood, but like he is fucked up. Like, he makes his way to the bridge, and there's this fantastic reveal of the school bomb being a phony, right? Pancake syrup.
Well, real quick, is McClane the one that can dislocate his shoulder at will? Is that in Die Hard? Or is that a different action movie thing that I'm thinking of?
I don't think so.
Lethal Weapon.
Oh, yes. Sorry. That's a Riggs thing.
Yeah. That's right.
Yep.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And then, like, I just love, like, as we get the reveal of the school bomb being a phony, the actual bomb reveals itself to be on the ship with McClane, who gets cornered by Oh, sorry. Like who? While he's on the phone to the Coast Guard, they put him on hold. He gets cornered by Gruber, right? And Gruber's just like, "Oh, is this the Coast Guard? Oh, they put you on hold." And he's like, "Yeah, they told me to stay on this land." And I love like Gruber just like letting off a laugh. He's like, "Ha ha, I love this country."
Yeah.
um, and this is fantastic because um, like John tries to like stick the knife into Gruber a little bit, and he's just like, "Your brother was an asshole." And Gruber goes along with it. Yeah, yeah, he really was an asshole. Yeah, yeah, you got his number.
It feels a little improvised.
Yeah,
Yeah. It feels a little bit. Yeah, he was. Yeah. And there is no like, but that does make me think like, why does he pick McClane specific? So there must have been some kind of, what does he say? He's like, not liking somebody and not caring are two different things,
right?
Or something like that.
Not liking your brother is different than not caring about your brother. Like he like it's
okay.
But I wholly think that McClane just happens to be in New York. Like he intended, like he said, right? Like Gruber is here on a mission, on a contract, according to Targo, right? Like there's some very rich people who could stand to gain a lot of money by blowing up all of this gold. And they're here on this contract. But, you know, unbeknownst to everyone else, Gruber actually wants to steal the gold, $160 billion worth, and, you know, send it to the bottom of the ocean. Oh, he says there are some gentlemen in the Middle East who think that they'll make a great deal of money, right? And he's kind of like filled all the containers up with like all this like bullshit metal or whatever. He said, "What the hell's this got to do with killing McClane?" And he's like, "Life has its little bonuses." But yeah, so Gruber manages to tie up Zeus and McClane here. Gruber takes off, and Targo is in kind of like their little getaway vehicle. By the way, what do you think about the strong and silent chick?
Oh, banging, smashing, absolutely.
I knew you would. I knew.
Yeah. Well, and I like that she's kind of like the Kowalski of the German side, you know.
Yeah.
But no, I definitely well, and there's this weird little like subplot of like her kind of betraying
Targo.
What's his name? Targo. Of her betraying Targo with Simon. I was like, and I liked it because Targo has been so like, you're doing this wrong and you're doing that wrong, and it's like, you know what? Shut the fuck up, dude. Like, I would not be. One of the rules of power is you don't upset the master. Like, you don't upstage the master. Like, don't do that shit.
Totally. So she ends up killing Targo. And McClane and Zeus share a little moment, right? Like, so McClane tells Zeus about Holly, and I just love that Zeus is just this like super down to earth guy who's just like, dude, you left your wife because you fucking call her back. Are you fucking serious? John manages to get the splinter out, like, which they use to pick the lock. Zeus drops the thing after he manages to get McClane out. I love McClane. I love the panic in McClane, right? McClane's like, dude, I can't have your death on my conscience too. Like, let's go. So he mixes the two liquids and he blows up the handcuffs.
Again, another setup. I like that.
Brilliant, man. Like, we know it works because we've seen it before. And they managed to get off the ship in this giant explosion, which they would never have survived, but whatever, because movie, right? When they get to shore, they're all kind of like rugged up, you know. Zeus, Lambert gives McClane a quarter to call Holly, and as he's on the phone, he realizes that the aspirin bottle that Gruber gave him has, I think it's French for north of the border.
Is it?
Yeah, it's kind of like the hotel name or whatever. This is where the rewrites came in, and Hensley talks about this. He's like, this is not the original ending of the movie. Like, you know, my original ending that I had, and I'll talk about the original ending when we're done here. My original ending that I had, the executives thought that McClane was being too cruel and it wasn't in line with Die Hard. And that's why they kind of like go up to Canada and have this big sort of like more bombastic ending with these helicopters. And it was a very sort of like last second rewrite, and you can absolutely tell, in my opinion, like up until this moment, where what 1 hour and 53 minutes in, it's been almost perfect. It's been an A
Mhm.
plus movie, and we kind of like get this like final. It's not even like 7 minutes between Gruber going up to Canada, having the celebratory moment, having the sex scene, which was thrown in, by the way, because because McTiernan was like, "We're already getting a fucking R rating, so I'm just going to go for it, and we're going to throw in this sex scene," which is
I don't hate it.
which is legit.
It does make sense where it's like, okay, now he thinks he's won. Now he thinks it's over.
Yeah.
Yes, and him busting out the champagne and all of that stuff. Like I don't like. I just feel like it's naturally attacked on, but I don't mind the stuff that happens. The guy saying to fallen comrades.
Oh yeah.
And there's like moments that like, okay, well, for being a tacked on ending, I don't hate it, but it definitely is kind of, you can feel the tacked on.
This is where I would agree. This is the one rare moment where I would agree with the executives and the suits over the writer, because Jonathan Hensley's original ending had so basically the boat blows up. Gruber makes away with the gold, right? And then we pick up 6 months later. John has essentially been kicked out of the police force, because they actually thought that he was in on the heist. Yeah, and John meets Gruber in sort of like a restaurant, like a cafe sort of thing in like East Germany or whatever, and they kind of like share this like one-on-one conversation. And
did they film this, didn't they?
This is on YouTube. Yeah, you can find this on YouTube for sure, with commentary from Hensley. And basically John says, "All right, you got away with it. We're going to play a little bit of game. We're going to play John Says." So he pulls out a Chinese rocket launcher, with like the etchings of like face forward, like so where the missile comes out of. That's been etched off, so neither of them know which way the missile is going to come out of, like the rocket's going to come out of. So he says, "You can spin whenever you want, by the way." And he says, he gives them like 3 or 4 different riddles, like whatever. And essentially Gruber's able to answer all of them, except he gets the last one wrong. The last one being, 2 guys walk into a bar. One has a bomb. One has nothing. What did the man forget that could have saved his life? And I think Gruber says, an antidote to the brandy or something like that, because they were drinking brandy. And John says, incorrect. And then Gruber spins the rocket launcher one more time and then pulls the trigger, and the rocket ends up killing Gruber. John gets up and he's like, he forgot his flak jacket. And it's revealed that John was wearing a flak jacket, so that could have saved his life. And it's just like, well,
to stop a rocket launcher?
Rocket launcher, yeah. And then that's the end. That's the end of the movie. And I'm like, this was so much better. It's not perfect. It feels tacked on, but this was better. Because we also get the yippee-ki-yay. We get like, show me that smiling face.
It's not great. I do, and I'll be honest, I wish Carver Zeus had kind of like bowed out at this point, where it's like, listen, and I get it. I don't, it's like, I don't mind John. I get it, because they're like, this guy, at least he's a cop, but it's like, dude, we're in fucking Canada.
Right.
Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I don't even understand. Like, I wish they had stopped them like right before they got into Canada. So you could still have, because New York's not that far away, it makes sense. But yeah, it's like, I wish that Zeus just got that, like, man, I'm going to go make sure my nephews are okay. I'm bleeding internally. Like, I need to take a break. Like, I wish that, but yeah, compared to what you just rattled off, yeah, this is fucking great.
Right. Exactly. I am a sucker for like helicopters getting into like sort of tight spaces. When that helicopter comes out of that hangar, dude, I'm just like, oh yes, come on, let's go. He's firing a fucking M60 machine gun at him. Like, it's good, man. It's good. Like, he ends up going down. He kills him. He goes back to Zeus. John's like, oh man, Holly's gonna be pissed. I left her hanging. Zeus gives him a 25, like a quarter, and he goes and makes the call, and then that's it, right? There's no fuckery.
Yeah, I love the last shot of him laughing on the sidewalk as he picks up the phone and stuff. It's like, oh, that's pretty good. Like I like that a lot. And
right.
I will very, very, very quickly, just because Jose left a really great comment.
Please.
I want to read it off. It's like one of the only ones. Jose Rivera, as always, thank you for commenting. Die Hard with a Vengeance is incredible for numerous reasons. I remember being genuinely shocked when Jeremy Irons turned out to be Hans Gruber's brother. I love the chemistry between McClane and Zeus. You really get to see the rocky friendship grow over the course of the movie. And as a native New Yorker, the movie is this great time capsule of how certain spots in the city used to look. Oh, that's got to be really cool. I still pass by that Grace Papaya on the west side and look for the spot where they answer the riddle about St. Ives. That's really cool.
That's awesome.
It was great having McTiernan back to direct this one. I am one of the few people I know who like Die Hard 2 and Rennie Harlin's directing, but there's something comforting about having McTiernan back. And the thing is, it's not just a rehash of the first movie. McTiernan has a bigger stage to play with, and he balances giving us the familiar with whilst giving the movie its own identity, which I definitely agree with. I like that a lot. This is very different from the first one, but similar. This is a strong script with a fascinating idea. I remember reading it was originally going to be called its own movie called Simon Says, well, which you mentioned earlier. Then it got fit to be a Lethal Weapon movie. Then it ended up being the third Die Hard. The thing is, I can see all three versions of the script in my head, and they all work independently. That's how good this is. You can take the idea and shape it in different ways, but it's interesting in every iteration. Yeah, that's awesome, dude. Thank you, Jose. And I totally agree with that. I think we kind of touched on that a little bit, with just the fact that it's just a good movie, and I had a lot of fun watching it. And again, it's not something that I'm gonna buy or keep on rotation, but this is a good popcorn flick, and it's stage up better than a popcorn flick, and I definitely enjoyed it. And if anybody ever, hey, I'm gonna start watching Die Hard, I'm like, I feel like you got to watch the first one, but the third one it's kind of, Die Hard 3 is the New Vegas of Die Hard movies. It's the personal choice that everybody kind of picks, even though the third one and the fourth one are great. That one is the one that everybody really kind of gets drawn to, but I had a lot of fun. I really enjoyed talking about this. I'm glad you picked it.
Well, hell yeah, man. Like I said, this was a seminal movie for my brother and I. Between this and Bad Boys, this really shaped our love for action films. And yeah, this holds a beloved, huge place in my heart. I absolutely love this movie, and I own it. I'll always continue to own it. I'll keep watching it. I have seen this so many more times than the original one. It's just incredibly fun. It's breakneck pace. It's fantastic. It's got a fantastic villain performance, fantastic character motivations, brilliant music beats, brilliant pushing in, the camera movement, fantastic. Loved it, start to finish. All right, that's it. We're going to cut it off. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Colin and I have been recording for a while now. We just recorded our episode on the Fallout TV show, which you can go check out at patreon.com/Minute Double Feature. Please support the show. It's $5 a month. We're also doing other stuff on there as well. We're putting episodes of Bond on there, which you can check out as well. And yeah, thank you so much for listening. Follow us on our socials, and we'll catch you guys next time. Bye.